Now at 11, weather impact alert as the threat of severe weather continues overnight into tomorrow. The latest watches, warnings, and timeline.
Better safe than sorry. I'm Alex Almanza. Tornado sirens sounding off across Indiana as part of a test, all amid several tornado watches in the Hoosier State.
Plus, we're taking a closer look tonight at the growing push to find shelter for people experiencing homelessness in our city. And the Big Ten men's tournament field taking shape. We'll show you who IU will face tomorrow as both the Hoosiers and Boilers prep for the postseason. And we begin tonight with a weather impact alert. Storms moving through Indiana right now. They could turn severe and arrive just in time for your morning drive. Thanks for inviting us in. It's 11 o'clock. So, Angela, any watches or warnings right now?
We still have a lot of watches and a lot of warnings, just not impacting central Indiana.
Right.
But we don't want you to let your guard down overnight. Have ways to get warnings if you are sleeping, as some of the severe storms will impact us before we get up and going on a Wednesday. In terms of the warnings, we have flash flood warnings in effect across parts of Illinois. There are severe thunderstorm warnings back through western Illinois into portions of northern Missouri. We also have severe thunderstorm watches, tornado watches, winter weather advisories. This really sums up just the strength of this early spring storm system. Highlighted in pink across the northwestern part of our area, tornado watch continues into southern Michigan. What's highlighted in yellow, a severe thunderstorm watch. What's highlighted in purple, a winter weather advisory. In fact, you go from Milwaukee under a severe thunderstorm watch to a county or two north, and they're dealing with the threat of winter weather. For us, Future Track 13 doing a great job on the placement of the storms so far. These will continue to stay north over the next couple of hours and then eventually make a dive south and east. Unfortunately, the timing looks to impact central Indiana during that Wednesday morning drive with heavy rain and the threat of severe weather.
All right, Angela, thanks so much. So the timing of these storms here in central Indiana adds a complication to safety plans because they will be arriving in the middle of the night. Our Alex Almanza joins us live downtown. He's got some critical information before you fall asleep. Alex?
Hey there, Scott. You know, a lot of it comes down to common sense. Before you go to bed tonight, there are several things that you want to make sure that you've got in your home, and things just to kind of check on before you hit the hay. Now, that means, you know, if you do hear a tornado siren, that you get to the lowest level of your home, away from windows and to the interior-most part of your house. Now, you also want to make sure that you have a flashlight handy and that it has extra batteries, and you'll even want a pair of shoes just in case, you know, you need to go outside or you need to move about. And most importantly, you're going to want to make sure that you have a way to hear those alerts in the first place, whether that's a weather radio or through the WTHR app. You're also going to want to make sure that you have the ringer turned on and make sure that it's not on silent, so that way you can hear what's going on. Also make sure that that phone is charged. Now, we're tracking these storms during Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Just this morning, emergency management leaders across the state tested their sirens and alert systems. Here in Marion County, we're told there were no problems. There weren't any issues in the surrounding counties either. EMA directors in Cass and Monroe counties both reported at least one siren not activating properly. But hey, that's why they test, to correct any problems ahead of these kinds of storms. And right now, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security is on standby. They're monitoring conditions from their Emergency Operations Center.
All right, Alex, thanks so much. And
we'll be monitoring the conditions. If we need to bring more people in or activate to a much higher level, then we're ready to do that.
And you're going to want to make sure that you have your phone charged, again, making sure that ringer is turned on, and you know, just keeping an eye on some of those alerts that come through your phone or through that radio. Now, we were up in Tippecanoe County earlier today, where Purdue University was testing some of their systems as students are set to go on spring break next week. So several students are still there, but you know, we haven't seen any major storms in that area. But always a good idea to, especially during Severe Weather Preparedness Week, to make sure that everything's in line, Scott.
All right, Alex Almanza reporting live for us. Thanks so much. And we've got you covered as this severe weather moves through. We'll be here on air and streaming over on WTHR+. That's where you can find our live Doppler 13 radar and the extended forecast. That's a free download, and you can watch it on your TV. Tonight, we want to break down plans from Indianapolis leaders to keep young Hoosiers safe ahead of spring break. IMPD Chief Tanya Terry said today they'll kickstart our city's youth safety plan this weekend. That includes reinforcing curfew times. Our city is also relaunching its Connection Center, so teens spotted outside during curfew hours will be taken to that center. Police are not saying where it's going to maintain safety for the kids there, but they do plan to use it on weekends and when there are large crowds in our city.
We want more than just a warning. We want a meaningful intervention.
A 16, 17, or even a 13-year-old can't tell you where they can go to Indianapolis when they need support. So having this center allows them to see some of the resources that are within Indianapolis.
Chief Terry told us that IMPD will have more police officers downtown alongside Indy peacemakers, saying police can't do this alone. She's calling on parents to step up and know where their kids are. We've got an update for you tonight about that Anderson man who's now charged with hitting an IMPD officer and a security guard with his car in downtown Indy last weekend. Our Logan Gay combed through the court documents tonight and joins us. So Logan, what else did the documents say about this suspect?
Well, Scott, the suspect allegedly admitted to using cocaine and drinking before the Supercross event downtown Saturday. Court documents detail what happened next, leading to that attempted traffic stop gone wrong.
28-year-old Derek Bryant is now formally charged with several counts of resisting police, causing varying degrees of injury. According to court documents, this all started when an on-duty IMPD officer approached a car that was honking its horn under a bridge near Meridian and Georgia Streets. This video posted on Facebook by Indianapolis Watch shows the scene at the time. Police say they found Bryant behind the wheel. And when they asked him for his license, court documents say Bryant started driving forward, hitting the officer in the leg and pinning his arm, before the officer freed himself and fell to the ground. Court records say Bryant then turned onto Louisiana Street but got blocked by traffic and started reversing toward the area where the officer was lying on the ground. That officer was able to roll out of the way to avoid being hit. But court documents say a security officer who was helping the IMPD officer was not able to move in time when Bryant ran over his foot. Investigators say Bryant then drove away, parked the vehicle, and ran off. When officers eventually caught up with Bryant, court records say he showed signs of intoxication and was taken to the hospital, where Bryant told officers he used cocaine earlier that day and panicked when the officer stopped him. The officer suffered injuries to his wrist, knees, and arms.
And according to online court records, Bryant's initial hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, March 11th at 1 p.m.
All right, Logan, thanks so much. An Indianapolis program connecting Hoosiers with housing is now moving into its next phase. Places like the Indianapolis Central Library have no loitering signs up. In fact, you may even see signs alerting to permanent camp closures. City leaders are putting these signs up at more than a dozen locations here in downtown Indy where people experiencing homelessness often gather. All of this is part of the big effort to connect those people with resources and a roof over their heads.
Bringing downtown spaces back to life. So, or being able to make spaces where our unsheltered neighbors may have been sleeping or camping accessible to Indianapolis residents again.
The Streets to Home Indy project has helped find housing for 114 people since August. We're told there's been a 98% retention rate. Tonight, an adult and a child are now out of their home after a fire on the east side of Indianapolis. IFD shared pictures of the scene on social media. Crews got the call to a house on Forest Manor Avenue, that's near 38th and Sherman. The Post says firefighters got this fire under control in about 40 minutes. Thankfully, no one was injured. The department's Victims Assistance Program is tonight working with the American Red Cross, helping the people who are affected. Right now, we're working to learn what caused that fire. Here's a look at the other stories making headlines right now. An Indianapolis man was just charged with murder connected to a 2024 shooting. Police say Gerald Hatcher Jr. shot Yasar Burnett Jr. in his car 14 times. Hatcher is also facing charges in a triple shooting on the northwest side of Indianapolis. In that case, he's accused of killing one person and injuring two others. A sentencing date has now been set for an inmate found guilty of murdering another inmate. This happened at the Marion County Adult Detention Center in June of 2022. 36-year-old Charles Barron Jr. died. A According to the prosecutors, video inside the cell shows Barron's cellmate, D'Angelo Smith, strangling Barron and then trying to stage the death as a suicide. Smith's sentencing is set for April. An area nonprofit helping young people process grief is now expanding to the South Side. It's called Brooks Place. There are support groups and arts-related activities, all to help people cope with the loss of a loved one. This new space is coming to Christ Indianapolis United Methodist Church off US 31 in April. Tonight, a push to expand and sustain Dolly Parton's Imagination Library across Indiana is nearly 100% funded. The money raised will keep this project going through July of 2027. Governor Mike Braun asked his wife to spearhead the cause after cutting the money for it from the state budget. That program makes sure that young kids have access to books. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories streaming anytime. Just scan this QR code on your screen.
Tracking all of the threats, tornadoes, large hail, and flooding. I'll help you start your Wednesday.
College is about learning and shaping the future, and now IU students are reaching for the skies.
That receiver is communicating with that radius on, and we'll get the data we need.
Tonight we'll show you how a new program has Hoosiers taking a rain check. And the most intense day of attacks in Iran. The message tonight from Trump administration leaders on this most recent wave of strikes and what's next.